Hello, hello, welcome everybody. Welcome to another Flip webinar. So excited to have you joining us. We'll give everybody just a couple of minutes here as people trickle in, and then we'll dive into today's very interesting topic. As you guys are joining, curious to know where you're joining from and what type of fitness business you have, so we can guess the types of gym studios, wherever those might be, that are joining us. So yeah, shoot a little note into the chat with where you're joining from, what type of fitness business. Joining from Saskatoon and you're from CrossFit gym. Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Excited to share some insights with you. And it looks like we've got Brittany as well. Brittany, where are you joining from and what sort of business do you have? If you are comfortable to share. We'll just
Please share. Please share.
Yeah. Otherwise, we'll give it a minute here as see if anyone else is joining us in Maine and Austin studio. Nice. Awesome. Thank you for joining us, Brittany, as well. Super excited to have you in the room with us. Okay, cool. We'll see if other people join us, but we'll dive in so we can make the most of the time that we have together. And of course, if you're joining us after the fact and you're watching the recording, we're super excited that you're watching it too and can't wait for you guys to get the value from this as well. So just want to give a little bit of an introduction to the guest that we've got joining us here today. It's a new face on the Flip webinars. So just imagine leading a team of highly motivated fitness instructors, and each class is burning with energy, enthusiasm, and eager participants. Picture your studio buzzing with happy clients who can't stop raving about their experience, resulting in glowing reviews and a thriving business. You see your class numbers steadily increasing, you see retention rates climbing, and your revenue is growing. And this dream doesn't have to be as far off as it feels, thanks to our guest, Shay from Fitness Career Mastery, who's going to join us and teach us how to make sure we're doing all the right things. So welcome, Shay, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. So today we're going to be exploring, how you can harness metrics to boost your studio's class performance and make sure that you are able to assess your team and the experience that you're providing for your clients. And we'll also talk about what levers you can pull to level up your classes. And I'm also going to talk to you about setting up a super strong foundation for your business so you can actually take full advantage of the amazing technology and data and tools that Flip gives you, that you have at your fingertips. So before we do that, my name's Shay. I like to call myself your experience design coach. And for over 10 years, I've been working with fitness business owners like you all over the world, building and refining branded class experiences, streamlining systems and operations for recruiting, training and developing rockstar instructor teams that elevate your brand, serve your unique community, and grows your business. And my background is in performing arts. I've worked professionally as a dancer, a choreographer, an actor, a producer, both in TV, film, and live events. And it's totally okay for you to say that I look way too young to have accomplished all of that so far. But I've also been an international master trainer and instructor for almost 15 years. But my superpower really lies in pulling all the pieces together to help you create an immersive experience that people get swept up in and they can't wait to come back to. And a really huge piece of that, whether it's a play or a dance performance or TV commercial or a pop-up event or a fitness class, is the people, particularly your team or your talent team. And you have to know who you're looking for, where to find them, how you bring them together, how you train and lead them to success. And I like to help business owners who are wearing like 10,000 hats take all their creative ideas and all their concepts and their vision and then create systems around them so that they can be successful. And the classes that you provide can be successfully executed, replicated, and therefore scaled. So let's talk about metrics, the role of metrics in fitness. We know that retention metrics are invaluable tools for enhancing the quality of your class experience and ensuring your client satisfaction, right? Some of the most important ones that we look at are class attendance rates, right? The number of times clients attend your classes over a specific period, class return rates, the percentage of clients who return for subsequent classes after their first session, lifetime value, total revenue of a client that is generated over the entire period that they stay with you and your business, and then churn rates, the rate at which clients stop attending your classes or cancel their memberships. High retention rates generally indicate that your clients are finding value in your classes, and it suggests that the quality of your instruction, the workout experience, and the overall environment meet or exceed their expectations. Low retention rates signal potential issues. Some of those are class content and structure. If the clients aren't returning, it might be due to unengaging, confusing, or repetitive class formats. And this can be classes are too hard, they're too easy, there's not enough variety. So something's happening. There's a disconnect between what you're marketing and then what's actually happening in the room. The second thing is instructor performance, huge piece of this, of the equation. Variations in your retention rates between different instructors can highlight who's excelling and who needs additional training or support. I know from talking to a lot of business owners that sometimes it's really tricky to figure out what exactly the instructor needs in this situation, right? Just giving them a note typically doesn't work. And we'll talk about that. And the third thing is facility and amenities. Cleanliness, equipment quality, overall vibe of your studio also play a crucial role in client retention. So when clients consistently return for more classes, it's a really strong indicator that they're happy with their experience. And hopefully they're communicating that to you by telling you. They're leaving reviews and they're bringing friends, right? Some key aspects that influence client satisfaction include feedback and adaptation. So regularly analyzing retention data in conjunction with your client feedback allows you to continuously adapt and improve your offerings. And clients come to appreciate your responsiveness to their needs and desires. And part of this, outside of looking at the metrics, also includes reviewing and auditing your own classes and tracking your instructor's performance over time. I'll talk about that a little bit later too. The second thing is consistency in quality and progress. A consistent high quality experience regardless of class time or instructor, and seeing tangible results and an improvement in their lives from attending your classes builds brand trust and loyalty. So they want to know that they're getting the results that you promised them, and they want to know that they can drop into anybody's class. And even if there's like a different vibe, if the music's a little different, like the energy of the instructor is different, that there's something there that's guaranteed. They know that like it's going to be like a certain level of intensity. There's like certain touch points that are going to happen throughout the class. So that's definitely something you want to look at. And the last, and in my opinion, oftentimes the most important, is personal connection and joy. So clients who feel a strong personal connection with their instructors and other class participants, and who fall in love with the experience, like beyond the results, are more likely to return and bring more friends. I think there's studies that have come out that if your members know at least 2 other people, that they'll start to feel more accountable to the community. So they'll want to show up for the people in their class, like not just because like they have their own personal goals. I worked at a studio that was very well established in LA and had a lot of like celebrity trainers. And I was working in China. And so I moved back to LA, and I really, really wanted to teach at the studio, but I was really nervous because like I had been out of the scene in the States for like a couple of years. I'm like, how am I going to fit in with these people that are like literally on television? And my first day of teaching, the like 15 or 20 people that showed up for my class all came up to me, like they rushed towards the mirror and they were like giving me high fives and like, you got this, we're here for you. And I was like, wait a second, that's my job. Like I'm supposed to be here for you. But it felt so good to be like welcomed in a community as a new instructor. And the fact that like 20 people showed up to my first class, they had no idea who I was. And that's because the community, or the studio, really, really focused on community and making sure that everybody felt connected to each other so they could drop into any class. And it was more about going for the experience rather than solely for their personal goals or benefit, or just for like that one instructor. You know what I mean? It's like it's a pretty cool thing. These three things you really want to look at, like taking feedback and making adaptations within reason. You don't need your whole community to like dictate your experience, but making sure that you have consistent quality across the schedule, and then finding those moments to create connection and like make the workout like even in, I love CrossFit, by the way, because the community is so strong. I used to do CrossFit. I should amend that. I'm not super crazy about a CrossFit workout. It's not my style, but I absolutely love being in a CrossFit box. Like I love the community. I love learning new things. And I think that's something that CrossFit does really, really well. And when you can like tap into the joy of it rather than just like the pushing, it's even better. Okay. So by closely monitoring these metrics, you gain deep insights into how well your classes meet the needs and the expectations of your clients. But first, you need to know the components of high quality programming, atmosphere, and instructor engagement, and how they fit together in the way that you'd like them to fit together to create the kind of exceptional experience that you hope to provide for your clients. The numbers don't lie, but they also don't really matter unless they mean something to you, right? So if you're here and you're like, you want to drop in the chat. If you're like, I'm looking at the metrics and I am seeing that there's some areas for improvement, but I actually don't know what lever to pull. Like I don't know where to start. You can say me in the chat because we can talk about it at the end of this. So how do we make meaning out of the metrics? We start by setting up a really strong foundation. So whether you consider yourself strictly a business person or entrepreneur, meaning that you're the owner operator of your fitness brand, you're not a fitness professional, you're not a certified instructor, or you're like a rock star instructor owner that's mastered your own modality, or you've created your own concept and now you have your own space. I know that you cannot do this thing forever on your own. I talked to a lot of both business owners and instructor owners who are like pulling their hair out because they're like, nobody can do things as well as I can do them. And I have absolutely no idea how to get everybody on my level. Right? If you're an instructor owner, you cannot teach all the classes on your own forever. You have to get everything out of your brain and successfully train a team of people to be just as amazing as you are, which is way easier said than done. And then if you're the business owner, you absolutely cannot hang your hat on a few, or in the worst case scenario, 1-star performer, nor can you hire a bunch of certified instructors and just like let them do whatever they want. If you leave it all up to them, they're going to create the experience that they want to see. And while it might be amazing, it might not be right for your clients. It might not be right for your brand. And I see this happen a lot too. It's like, my classes are all really good, but like the numbers are all over the place and clients are dropping off. And that is because, if we go back a few slides, to lack of consistency in the quality. Like the quality might be high across the board, but if the consistency is all over the place, people don't really know what to expect. So in this case, your metrics have very little meaning because now you have to give individualized feedback to every single person. And you've got to do all of this digging and figure out what is really going on instead of having sort of a set of standards that you can compare against. So I'm going to tell you why these metrics have very little meaning, and we'll talk about how we can use your metrics to fix that. But first, I want to share a story about somebody that we all know really, really well. Someone who turned out to be extremely successful, but was stuck in some of the very same circumstances, like awesome performance, but nothing's really moving the needle. So they are facing some of these things when they just started out, but when they made the correct shifts, everything changed. And that person is Michael Jordan. So did you know that Michael Jordan, arguably the greatest basketball player of all time, did not win a single championship for his first 6 years in the NBA? This story is not about basketball. It's about how a commitment to training, leadership, and team dynamics can transform potential into excellence. I'll even go so far as to say I am not a basketball fan. I am a Michael Jordan fan, and I absolutely love this story. And I find this to be true in fitness as well. So little history, just in case you're like me and you like need to know what's going on. Michael Jordan's career took off when he joined the Chicago Bulls in 1984. And while Jordan was a force to be reckoned with, it was very clear to the Bulls organization that they could not succeed at the highest level with Jordan alone. They needed support. So in comes Scottie Pippen. who both complemented and pushed Jordan's skills and helped him evolve from a one-man show to more of a team player. And this improved the Bulls game by like a little bit, but they still got destroyed in the next season. No trophies. Everyone agreed that Jordan was a phenomenon. Everyone wanted to see him play, but the team wasn't winning any championships. They're still hitting a wall. So it wasn't until the arrival of coach Phil Jackson that Jordan's true potential began to shine. Jackson introduced a system built on teamwork, strategic planning, and individual development, a system that would catapult the Bulls to 6 NBA championships. There were 3 things that contributed to their success that we can learn from. Number 1 is structured training. So just like a meticulously planned fitness program or even team instructor training, Jordan's success was grounded in disciplined training sessions that focused on physical conditioning and skill refinement. Second piece is strategic development. Jackson's coaching philosophy emphasized creating a cohesive team where each player understood their role and contributed to collective success. So this strategic approach ensured that the Bulls didn't rely solely on one person's brilliance, in this case Jordan, but leveraged the strengths of the entire team. And then the third piece is leadership and mentorship. So Jackson's leadership was pivotal. His dedication to improvement inspired the team to elevate their performance, much like how effective instructor training, onboarding, and mentorship can empower fitness professionals within a boutique studio. So as Jordan and the Bulls implemented these systems, they achieved unprecedented success, 6 NBA championships, numerous individual accolades later, and Jordan's legacy as the greatest basketball player of all time is cemented. So I love this story because it illustrates how structured systems and training can elevate individual and team performance to like extraordinary heights. So how do we apply these lessons? In a boutique fitness studio or a gym, adopting a systematic approach to instructor training and experience design can transform your business by implementing these 3 things: structured training, strategic development, leadership, and mentorship. You can change your client experience. You can improve retention rates, and ultimately you elevate your business to like champion level status. I've played all 3 of these roles in like my 15 years of being in the industry. I've been on the team with a star player who was completely untouchable. This person's got that something special, that something extra, and an entire brand was built around their fame and their popularity. This happens so much in LA, and I've worked at almost all of these studios, right? And like they become absolutely untouchable, and then everyone else is just expected to perform at that level, and then none of us can do exactly what they do, even if what we do is very good, right? I've also been that Jordan. I've been the star player that's brought into a studio, and even though my classes are packed with wait lists, a fitness business can't survive on one star player alone, right? We're not winning any team championships. The team becomes divided and depleted, like trying to catch up. And then all this unnecessary pressure is either placed on the star performer to carry the load or the team to rise to like these impossible standards. And in both cases, every single one of these studios, and I can list like 10, are out of business. And almost all of them went out of business within 2 to 3 years because it's just not sustainable. So the one thing that all of these places had in common was a lack of leadership, no systems for training and refinement, no direction, no guidance, no structure. So even when you track the metrics and you can see that there are some issues, it's absolutely impossible to know how to tackle it. When there's no leadership, there's no clear shared vision. Every instructor is left to their own devices. They're all on their own mission statement. They're all trying to create an experience to the best of their own abilities. And with the training and philosophy and experience that they've gleaned outside of your brand, right? And I see this happen a lot with studios that hire independent contractors. So you can like raise your hand. Like, actually, I'd love to know, like, is your team, do you have a team of employees or do you have a team of independent contractors? Sometimes we feel as leaders, when you have an independent contractor, it's like really hard. It feels really challenging to like put guidelines or like tell them what to do, right? Because they're not actually employees and you're hiring them, yes, as experts. Let me know if you have like issues, like, and if you have like issues like this, like let me know in the chat, because I literally just had a call with a business owner this morning about this, but there's ways to work around it. But so you have like all of these really great people, they've all been certified, they all have their own experience, they're all coming into your place, but it's your brand, it's your business, and your clients are buying into a brand, your clients are buying into an experience. So what happens? Typically, the instructor with the strongest mission, the strongest personality, the strongest skills is running the show, and everyone else is scrambling, but nobody's winning. And as a business owner or a leader, you're left with a lot of resistance to change, right? You're giving notes and they're like, my class numbers are fine. I'm making my paycheck. Nobody told me what to do. Why do I have to change it now? Right. I hear that a lot. There's like a lot of pushback. Like, I don't really feel like it's broken and this is the way that I do it. And you didn't tell me I had to do anything different when we started. Right. Back to me in this chapter in my fitness career, I'm Phil. I come in with systems for recruiting and training and a playbook that's designed to turn potential into excellence. I help you find your Jordans. I help you find your Pippins. I help you cultivate the support that you need and a playbook, right, to help make running your business feel like you're winning a championship game. But really, you as the business owner need to be Phil. And then if you're the instructor owner, you got to be Phil and Jordan, which is a lot, but you can't do both of them very well long term. So you need to decide which one you want to be. And then you've got to build the playbook so you can find the right person to fill your shoes, because you've got like 20,000 other things to take care of, right? And you need those people to do the thing just as well as you do, or just as well as the vision that you see in your head and what you want to promise to your clients. So as I said in the beginning, the purpose of this webinar is to help you use metrics to assess the strength of your team and the quality of your class experience. But in order to do that really well, you need to lay the groundwork and establish the markers for success. So I help clients do that by building what I call the playbook, systems for instructor training and experience design. And it's really, really difficult to fix something or level something up if you don't have a handbook for how the original thing is supposed to work in the first place, you know? So we take a look. These are the things that I give business owners, or sometimes tweak or fill in the gaps or refine if you've already got something in place. First thing is proper onboarding. And this includes SOPs for recruiting, right? Where are we finding people? What kind of people are we looking for? What do we expect of them? Auditioning, like how do we assess if they're a good fit for our culture and our team? Hiring and training. And then we work on developing a signature format and guidelines for class design. So this absolutely in no way means that we're creating cookie cutter classes, or you've got robot teachers, or like pre-programmed stuff where like everybody's saying and doing the same thing. It just means like, how do we put guardrails on the experience so that when the client comes in, that we're meeting their expectations? I like to say you can't think out of the box unless you build the box in the first place. So it's really just about that. And also finding some like key differentiators, right? Like if you are a reformer Pilates studio or a spin studio or even a CrossFit box, right? There's ways that we do those things, but how do you do those things in your house with your brand? Then we establish key elements to provide an exceptional experience for your space. That kind of looks like a checklist. Like, what are the roles and the responsibilities of your instructor and your staff?
Maybe.
Oh, hello? What are all those roles and responsibilities? What are the things that are expected? What do we want to see? What do we not see? So that when you go into the metrics or you're getting client reviews, you can really assess like, oh, I can see these 3 things are missing, or this needs improvement, or wow, this instructor is hitting all 10 things and that's why they're getting 5-star reviews. We need to like make sure that everybody else is doing those 10 things. We build out instructor team training. So what does that look like? What are the requirements? What's the cadence? What happens in that training? How do you get people onto the floor? And then we plan for ongoing development and support, because people love to be challenged and they love to be led. I think something that business owners, particularly if you've been an instructor before, because you're like, I want to do this my way. you're a different breed from everybody else, right? If your instructors wanted to really do everything their own way, they would be the business owner. But what they did was they came and they interviewed or auditioned for your space because they want somebody to lead them. So you have to like create the systems to give that to them so they feel valued, supported, and challenged. And then we want to implement formal and informal performance reviews, right? From your eyes or from the management or leadership's perspective. So like now you can, you see what you see, and then you see what the clients see, and then you see what the numbers see, and we can start to put all of that together, right? So once you get a really clear picture of what it is that you're trying to accomplish, what's necessary to do it well, and then the steps to make it happen, you can really start looking at those metrics, and they really start looking, they start to make more sense. So let's say some of the things that happen here. So let's say an instructor's class isn't performing well on the schedule, and you're getting a lot of first timers, but they aren't returning. So maybe the class is too easy, maybe it's too hard, maybe it's too confusing. So you look at the client reviews, you look at the numbers, you audit the class, you put it all together, and you go, well, okay, here's this one thing based on our playbook that they're not doing, so now we need to fix that. Perhaps people are coming, and they're coming for a number of weeks or even months, but then they drop off and they're disappearing. So what does that mean? This could signal that there's not enough variety in the music or the programming. Maybe there's too much and it becomes overwhelming, or perhaps the instructor isn't taking the time to really get to know their class participants, and so they feel unseen, they lack connection to the instructor or the studio or each other, they lack accountability, and so after a while they move on. I see this happen a lot. Like people will come for like 3 months, and then something happens, like they get some changes, and then they get a little bored, and then they move on. So it's great that maybe they reached a goal, but you want them to stay beyond reaching the goal, right? You want them to become a part of the community and continue to grow with you. Maybe class utilization is just stuck at a number. You're not seeing any new signups. If the client reviews are good, then that's a whole different topic. We need to work on better marketing that instructor or that class. So you can look at customer reviews for guidance, but you need to be clear on what it is that like you want to hear and what you want to see. What do you expect clients to say about your classes? How do you want them to feel about the workout, about your brand, about the community, about the experience you provide and the instructors that you have? So if you're marketing your classes as high energy and someone leaves a review saying that that class was boring, then you have a real problem. We have to go look at that. But if someone says, oh, wow, that was too crazy for me, or too hard, or too high energy, then you compare that with your internal reviews that you've done of that class and that instructor that you have documented, and then you compare that to the standards and expectations as outlined in your playbook. And there's like a really good chance that you can toss that feedback. Maybe your class offerings aren't a good fit for that client. You can't please everyone. But now it becomes much easier to fix. You can also take a lot of the emotion out of it, which feels really, really good. So from there, like when you do see the issues, you can look at the cadence of your ongoing training and support because you've already established that. So some kind of like, let's say it's like a playlist issue or a music issue, like the music's all over the place, or it's a little bit boring, or it's not changing enough. You can now work the feedback into a future training. Like, let's say you kind of have that established, and you can make sure that you address that, not just with that person, with the team, but then if it's something more urgent, like sort of like a personality issue or something that the instructor is saying or doing that's unsafe or like really not on brand, then you know that you can schedule like a one-on-one meeting or a one-on-one training with that person. And in some very rare cases, it's actually best to pull the instructor off the floor, but you can't do that unless you've properly communicated during your onboarding process that if these specific expectations and standards aren't met, you may be temporarily removed from the schedule or be relocated to another spot. So I want to know how many of you have found yourself stuck in a situation where the instructor is not teaching on brand or up to your standards. So it might not even be a bad class, just not teaching on brand, not doing what you've asked, not teaching up to your standards. You keep giving notes that go unheard, or you're getting pushback. You're feeling frustrated and at a loss for what to do. And deep down, you know you should probably take action, but you feel hesitant to do so. Like maybe you really just don't want to be the bad guy, because that's not a fun role. Say me in the chat. And if you don't have this problem, this is amazing. Like I'm like so happy for you. But it's very, very common. I have calls with people every single day. I had 2 this morning, and both of them were like, "Oh my gosh, I just gave feedback to instructor yesterday, and it's not working. I don't know what to do." And I said, "Well, I know what to do." And she said, "Give me the notes." And I said, "I can't give you the notes. We gotta have a playbook for standards first. I have to know like what your expectations are and what you're looking for. And then once we do that, I can tell you exactly what to say. Like I'll help you figure out how to coach that person, but we need to figure out what the strategy is first, right? Me. Okay, cool. Our owner had to take over our morning classes, end up removing his, right? And the owner doesn't want to take over all the morning classes. The owner has like a laundry list of things to do every single day. As another person I spoke to today, it's like, I don't trust anybody in an owner instructor. I don't trust anybody on my team to like, if I go on vacation to teach all of my classes. And I said, well, why is that? "Oh, well, they don't teach like me." "Well, why don't they teach like you? It's your brand." "Well, I just didn't really train them. I just sort of gave them a one pager on like what to do." Right. And I said, "Okay. And how does that work when they're not doing what you ask them to do and you say, change it?" It's like, they don't, that they've been teaching here for 10 years. And they're like, "This is what I do." And I'm like, right. So now you're stuck. And they're loyal. It's a loyal employee. They've been there for 10 years. You don't want to just let them go. Then you feel like a jerk. Right. And you have all this emotion in it. But when you write stuff down, I love writing stuff down. By the way, I'm like a highly creative person. Obviously, I come from a dance and a theater background. And like, I love energy and I love people and I love stories, but I happen to be a systems thinker, and not a lot of creative people are also systems thinkers. That's why it's my superpower. So I can take all of that and I could go, okay, we're going to put this in a little framework. We're going to make it look like this. And then now we know what it looks like. We can shape it. We can turn it. We can expand it. We can contract it. We can get rid of a piece because we know exactly like the pieces that we're working with and what it's supposed to look like. And then you actually have more freedom, right? And more control, your instructors have more autonomy and confidence, and they feel empowered by having like a thing to play with rather than being like, I don't know, I just show up and I teach my class. Right? I have someone who fits, everybody has someone who fits this description. Typically, it's because when you started your business, you were literally just, we did this too. We don't own a studio, but with our business, you just slap stuff together. You're like you're trying to figure stuff out, and you need bodies in the room to teach for you, right? So you're just looking for people who like want to teach a class. And that's totally fine. That totally works in like year 1 or year 2 when you're still figuring things out. But by year 2 or 3, when you start establishing yourself as like a local entity, if you don't have a lock on who exactly should be on the floor and how they do that, then you're like dead in the water, right? If you went into Starbucks, right, and they hired some guy from Pete's or something, I don't know, I'm making something up now, right, who made amazing coffee, but not the way that you expect it. You'd be like really upset. You'd be like, okay, this is an awesome coffee, but like, that's not what I came in here for today, right? You have certain expectations when you enter a facility. Like everybody has to have that shared vision. Okay, so this is cool because we can talk about this, right? So you want to track your retention metrics so that you can tailor class content and structure, right? Again, you have to have the foundation first. You want to be able to adjust your class formats, the intensity levels, and the programming based on the retention trends to better match your client preferences. So if you don't have a structure to start with, what happens is you just start making arbitrary changes to please people, and then you completely lose your own brand identity, and you're running around trying to make everybody happy, right? So when you're super clear on what it is that you're doing, you can better assess, oh, that's great feedback. We need to change that. Or no, thank you for the feedback, but that's not what we're doing here. So that person can manage their own expectations, or maybe they're not a good fit. And you feel good about that because you want to create more space for the people that you're meant to serve, right? You want to be able to train and develop your team, provide targeted training and support for instructors to ensure they deliver exceptional experiences that meet or exceed your client's expectations. And then you want to be able to enhance your client engagement and implement strategies to build a stronger community, create personalized communication and loyalty programs. And you want everybody to be on board for that. I know a lot of studio owners that feel like they're doing that piece all on their own, but when you properly onboard and basically inculcate your people, they're going to help you do that, and they're going to feel proud to do that. Okay, so my presentation is pretty much over. If you're thinking, okay, I'm seeing some of these issues, Shay is speaking my language, and I know that I have not laid down a strong foundation to lead my team to excellence, right? And feel like I'm running a champion level business, and you feel called to transform or level up your systems, I invite you to book a free strategy session with me. That's my gift to you for attending this webinar. And together we can audit what you currently have or don't have, and then design a customized playbook that meets your needs. And I can drop a link in the chat. I'm going to drop it in the Zoom chat. And then Sarah, maybe you can like figure out where that goes.
Of course.
Is that cool? Okay, so it's there. And we can send it to you in an email as well. But yeah, it's completely free. It's a 1-hour call. We'll do like a whole audit and an assessment. You'll walk away with something that you can do right away. And you'll also learn about how we can work together if I like need to build the whole thing for you. Cool. So with that said, what I'd love to do, oh, here's my slide. You can book your pre-strategy session with me. I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to be able to see your face. I'd love to like get under the hood of your business and like figure out what's going on. I absolutely love doing it. It's my favorite thing to do. But now it's your turn. So I'd love to invite at least one person to either share their metrics. You can, we'll figure out how this works. You can either share your screen or just read them off to me. You can talk about client feedback or your personal observations. And like, let's see if we can find a sticking point and figure out like, what's the first step that you can do to tackle the issue. Cool. Anybody?
I know we had a couple people chime in and say they were resonating with what you were sharing. So
Yeah.
if you could give us a bit more insight into maybe Brittany, why do you feel that you've got someone who fits the description? Melody, you said me, what's going on? Virtual coach, whatever your name is, mysterious virtual coach. Would love to know why, maybe what did your owner see that made them realize they had to take over the morning class and remove the instructor? How did they reach that conclusion? What were the indicators that they were looking at that were like, uh-oh, bit of a problem here? And we can have Shay give us her expertise on how to tackle that. I'm sure it'll be applicable. One thing that's happening in one of your facilities will be really applicable across the rest. So don't feel like you're eating up everyone's time if you chime in. We would love for somebody to chime in with what's going on. Can be anecdotal, can be data, whatever.
I think I should.
Thank you, Brittany. Awesome.
Hi. I don't have any data like hanging out for me to like give you right this second, and I'll just speak a little bit about the person that I wrote that fits that description. Pretty much everything you said hit spot on with her. She's been teaching for, I don't know, 15 years or something, but mostly in a YMCA setting, so a very different. Like just kind of a different vibe, I guess.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a different demographic. My market is kind of, I don't want to say it's older. I'm like smack dab in the middle of it as a 42-year-old, but it's not in a big city with a bunch of 20 somethings. We're definitely a little bit older. So it's not necessarily different demographic, but my brand is obviously different from a local YMCA.
Yeah.
And to your point early on, I was just like, who wants to teach a class? And she drove by and contacted me. It was like, are you looking for instructors? And here we are basically 3 years later. And she's down to one time slot on the schedule. She just teaches Tuesdays at 5:45 a.m. And I will say that time slot has grown more significant, well,
Yeah.
relatively speaking, over the last few months, which is really encouraging. But it's by far, it's our lowest performing time slot for sure. And she used to teach more at night. It doesn't really matter why. I didn't like take
Yeah.
her off. She kind of took herself off for kid reasons. Yeah, she has kids and she had commitments, and I just never put her back on. And the way I sort of see it at this point is like, I think that the problem is a personality driven problem
Mhm.
and a complacency driven problem. And I haven't given her feedback recently because it's just sort of working enough that I'm being complacent as well. But like, there's not enough music variety. I think that she doesn't feel super authentic. I can tell she's putting on a thing that doesn't actually feel authentic to her. And I think people can see through that. And that's kind of the problem.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the short, I mean, I could go on and on, but that's kind of the short of my story.
Okay. I hear a couple of things that we could pull out of that. So the first one is, and I want to share this with everybody because you touched on something. She used to teach PM classes and now you've got her like in a morning class. Would you consider her a morning person?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So something to think about when you're onboarding people is really, really asking them, like looking at what you need across the schedule and like having them be honest with you. Like, would you consider yourself a morning person, an evening person? And I feel like there's character, like personality traits. I am an evening person. I have told every person that's ever hired me, if you put me on at a 6 or 7 a.m. class, those people are never coming back. I am giving you like the bare minimum. I can barely function in the morning. I'm not happy to be there. It takes me like 30 minutes to warm up before my personality wakes up. It doesn't matter how coffee I have. You put me on at 5:45, I promise you in a number of weeks, I can sell out and waitlist that class. I know I can. And because I know myself better, I'll start from there. Evening people, I have like a little bit more like rebellious spirit. They're a little more edgy. You can actually see by the music that they play. They like darker beats. They like funkier stuff. Whereas like a morning person is like somebody who's very organized or like very type A, very like kind of like a little bit more I play by the book. They're usually more bright and happy in the morning. Their music usually reflects that, so like ways that you can tap in if the person doesn't know themselves as well, to say like, send me a playlist, send me your ideal playlist and listen to the music. And like, if you're like, oh, this feels like a bright, happy morning class, I feel like it's just a good way. It's not always true, but it's a good indicator. If I sent you a playlist, you would be like 100% I'm putting you on at like 6 p.m. I cannot play this music in the morning. And I don't have any music to play in the morning because I'm not a morning person, right? So just, I want to give that to everybody. Part of when I build out a playbook for people is getting super, super clear. What kind of people do you want in each of those time slots? What are you looking for? How do we ask the right questions to get the right team members? And as you said, when you're just like, yeah, I got a spot opening, you're going to put them wherever. Okay. The like the performative stuff is tough. Like the like not having an authentic personality. And I see this, sometimes the feedback, it's like, we just give the straight feedback. It's like, people like, we just need you to be more genuine. We need you to have more connection. You try to use all these nice words. In my experience, and I feel like this is the case most of the time, the performative stuff comes up because they're lacking confidence in what they're actually able to do, right? They're not connected to a deeper sense of purpose. They're not connected to a why. They're not connected to your purpose and why as a brand. And they don't have strong enough skills to like carry the class. And so then they put on this like fitness caricature that is like performing on stage. I've done it. You have to, when you're like, I don't know what I'm teaching here. I'm just going to like put on a smile and jump around, right? And it feels like it's lacking depth and it's lacking that authenticity. So there could 100% be like a sort of like a personality thing that just doesn't fit, that complacency, that like not really wanting to push themselves and grow. But the performative stuff is probably coming from like that lack of direction and guidance. And I do believe that really strong leadership and guidelines can help bring, if it's in there, like that character that's like, I want to learn and I want to improve. I think people at the heart, like I really believe in people. I think like down at their core, everybody wants to be better. Everybody wants to be challenged. Everybody wants to do their best. But when we don't know how to do that, we step back because it feels safer, right? So like, I'm just gonna be like, no, I tell this story all the time. Like there's so many instructors that have had, you do an 8-hour certification and they've had no leadership, no mentorship, no guidance. And they've like scotch taped their class together. Like they're like Jack on the, like on the door in the ocean, you know, floating like outside of the Titanic. And they're like, this is my boat. It's going to take me to shore. And then you come along and you're like, actually, I've got a yacht over here if you'd like to join. You just have to figure out like how to get up here. And they're like, no, thanks. I feel safe over here. Like they don't want to jump. That feels too scary. They're like, nope, I built this thing with my own hands. I am sticking to it. I'm going to ride it until I die. It's like so scary to make that leap. And so part of the leadership mentorship piece is figuring out how to get them there. And it really does go all the way back and going like, okay, we've got to lay down a foundation.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. I think actually I think the insecurity for her is actually like a full person insecurity thing.
Maybe.
Right. It's not just, in some ways, she's probably the most comfortable teaching a class because she can I'm making a lot of judgments, but I've known her for a while now and I kind of feel, because she can sort of hide behind that, in fitness instructor thing, whatever personality or whatever persona is probably the right word. And before I did this, I had a lot of people management experience and a lot of feedback experience, but this feels so much harder because it's like, yes, I can show her the numbers, but this feels more like, I think your personality isn't working. And that's, that's really hard. But even just what you're saying, I can kind of think through some things that just even thinking about performance reviews, which I haven't really.
So that was
feedback. Yeah.
That's going to be my first tip.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been able to come off the podium more recently. And so then it's giving me opportunity to ride, and give them feedback. Since I just like haven't been able to take classes because I'm teaching too many classes.
It's totally.
And so it's created opportunity to be able to take class and give like super direct feedback, which I've always done, but just hadn't done it a lot. So let me have to ride at 5:45 on a Tuesday morning, but I know. It's a time I don't usually go into the studio, but that's fine. And I did do that with her like 6 months ago. And I could just tell it's not, I'm like, you are not hearing what I'm saying. And you're not, I know you're not going to change anything.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately she's not the right fit for us. And I sort of, as I'm doing an instructor training program right now, and I sort of imagine replacing her at this point. And I kind of think she'll be happy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Just for me once a week, I barely pay her. Like it's not really worth her time.
Yeah. I love I love all of this. I think like, yes, the instructor training, having a really solid instructor training, really think about, did you say you're in it right now or you're about to?
No, we're like almost halfway through. Yeah.
Okay. So just make sure that if you haven't already, you have a session about like what it is, like your vision for your brand, like your mission, and like this is how we execute the mission, and be really, really clear. And this is what happens if you can't, right? If you cannot, these are the steps.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you what to do. You're going to implement performance reviews. I have one built. You can buy it off my website. It's like, I think it's like 30 or 40 bucks. I don't know how much it is. It's cheap. It's got a whole thing. It's editable. It tells you exactly, like I have like all these tips of how to do it. One of the things that you can do once you've made it through this training, is you can tell your whole team, like, so your more senior instructors and the new people, I'm doing a new thing. How old's your business? 3 years, you said?
Yeah, 3 years.
Yeah. Okay. I'm new. You're still new. You're still baby. You're growing. I'm doing this new thing. I want to start implementing performance reviews because I want us to be the best. This is meant, and this is in the guide. It's how you communicate it. Like I always tell people, tell them you're asking so much of your clients. You're challenging them to change themselves, to be a better version of themselves. You're making them do insane stuff on a bike or in a CrossFit box or wherever to like tap into their true potential. You guys need to walk your talk. You have to walk your talk. And that means us as leaders have to look at ourselves and go, how do we challenge and grow? Not just physically in fitness, but like as human beings. And so I want to help us do that. So you can decide 3 times a year, 2 times a year, what, like, even if it's annual, do one right away, like do like a fall refresh.
Yep.
And then now you can have that conversation with her. Okay. So based on what I'm seeing, da 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 da. And like it can be very like back and forth. And there's like tips in there for like how to have a conversation with somebody like this.
Yep.
So that's going to help you. And then now you hopefully you have like a much stronger like onboarding and training, and you know what to look for, and you're never going to have to deal with this again.
Yeah.
And you're right. She, even if she's upset in the moment, I absolutely know, because I've been the person that's let go and I've let people go. You look back, and I'm sure everybody here at some point has been through this. You look back and you're like, well, that was a blessing in disguise. I thought I was where I was supposed to be. And like, thank God you sent her free. And now she gets to find the place where she belongs, or maybe with the experience that she has, she, cross my fingers, finds another studio that's going to onboard her. And then she's like, oh, wow, this is what I was missing. And I completely forgive Brittany for not giving that to me, because she was just starting and she didn't know, and I didn't know either.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think like the best part about like going through like time and having the studio for a long time is that learning and how you change, you know,
Yeah.
how you change, how you learn from those things and then onboard people
Yeah.
differently. And like I'm excited for the next person I onboard, because I feel like I have just in general better experience where I can make better choices and communicate better.
Yeah. And I think that's like the best place. I work with people like before they ever open their studio. And it's funny because like we create a play, and it's nice. It's nice to have something, but inevitably they call me like 6 months or a year in, and they're like, remember that thing we wrote? That's not working for me. I'm like, awesome. We have a place to start from. You're not pulling your hair out. You know exactly who to call. You know exactly what to fix. But my favorite people are actually the ones who have like done the figuring out. And they're like, so I did this and that didn't work. And I did this and that didn't work. And this one thing worked, but like not consistently, and help me. And I'm like, great, let's just, and if you can do it on your own, if you can see that, that's wonderful. Yeah. Recruiting, like really like get your recruiting SOPs. And then you've got it sounds like you've got your like your ride structure, right? For like your training, your teacher training.
Yeah.
And then get those go get the performance routine, so you don't have to think about it, because you've got too many hats. Just buy mine and edit the cells and send it to your team and do it. And then when you look at the metrics, now you have the performance reviews, my friends, really help, because it forces you to write down what you're looking for in a class. So now you can really look at what the clients are looking at and see how that matches up. That's like one of the best tools. If you're like, I do not have the time or the budget or the wherewithal to like tap into this, get the performance reviews. And you can make them, I have people that call them like teacher talks. Like they don't want to make them like super formal and official. Just give it a cute name. It doesn't even have to be like a review. Like it should be something that your team looks forward to. Yeah.
Makes
Cool.
sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing in, Brittany. That's awesome.
All right. So I saw the virtual coach. Oh, there was some gossiping going on, like maybe and they had to go. But for the recording, I hope that wasn't like from the instructor. That makes me really upset, but that does happen too. But for everyone else here or anybody else that's watching, like this is the kind of thing, you book your call, we talk about like what's going on. I look at what you have or what you don't have, and you walk away with at least like one thing that you can do tomorrow. I love group fitness like so much. I feel like we have the power to change the world. I really do. I know that sounds like really whatever, but like I really, really believe in the power. Like when you do the thing you do to the best of your ability, it changes people's lives and they become better humans, you know, and they contribute to their communities and to society in a more positive way. And like, why wouldn't you just like pour your heart and soul into making that happen? Right. And it's so fun when you feel confident in your ability to like lead a team. I know it scares people. Oh, I don't know what to say, and I don't want to be a jerk, and I don't want to like be the bad guy. And you don't have to be like, but when you have the systems to back you up, when you have stuff in writing, like mentoring people and leading people is like the most fun part of like being in that like position of leadership. So, and I want that for you. And I want you to be able to use like Flip's amazing. I was like blown away, like the stats and the data that you have. Like, I want you to be able to look at that and know exactly what to do, or see the stats that you're like hoping for when you open them up, because like you're doing it right. That's what I want more than anything. But we all know that the issues are going to come up, and I want you to be able to fix them and not like fall to the floor. Right? Okay, cool. So I'm gonna wrap this up. I have like one more, just like a little thank you slide here for you guys to look at. I really appreciate you showing up today and giving us an hour of your time in what I'm sure is a busy, hectic schedule, and you have so many things to think about. Please stay in touch. You can follow us at Fitness Career Mastery on Instagram. On that account, you're going to find a lot of like brand messaging stuff. So that's really for the business owners. And then the Group X Conservatory is geared more towards instructors. And I talk a lot about how you can, elevate your client experience, essentially, like all the tools and tricks to like really teach a great class. We have a YouTube channel, Fitness Career Mastery. It's Fitness Career Mastery everywhere. And we also have a podcast, and there's like over 200 episodes with Barry and myself, and also with guests from all over the world. Everything from marketing to website copy to playlisting to coaching, like everything is on there. So I would love to see you there. Please say hi if you follow us and tell me that you saw me in the webinar. I answer all of the messages myself. And book that free strategy session if you feel called to. I'd love to talk to you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you, Sarah,
much.
for having me.
Of course, of course. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for doing a live breakdown with Brittany. I think that was so awesome. And thank you to all of you who joined us here live. We always love to see you, and thank you for participating at chat and sharing your information. That's so awesome. And to all of you watching the recording, so excited that you're here too, and hope you guys got value from it. We will, as usual, share the recording. We'll share the link to Shay's free session that you can book, and we'll share any other resources that we think are useful to you as well. And we're looking forward to seeing you on our next webinar.
Yeah.
Have a good one, guys. Thank you.
Bye.